The following interview was conducted at Robotics Invest 2024 in Boston. So welcome, thank you so much both of you for joining me. For our audience, could you each introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your organizations? Laura, could you start for us?
So my name is Laura Pereira. I work for a government agency from Belgium called Flanders Investment and Trade. And we represent the northern region and the Dutch-speaking region of Flanders in Belgium. And I'm based here in the US, and basically what we do, we help Flemish or Belgian companies with their market entry into the US, and we also support and guide US-based companies with their expansion plans in Europe, and we provide them with a soft landing platform in Belgium or Flanders.
So I'm a Belgian startup CEO. I'm the founder of a company called Tractonomy Robotics, and we build logistics robots right now for the local market in Belgium, but I'm actually very interested in taking our traction that we have in Belgium and bringing it to the United States.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, so my understanding is then that I mean, you started the company in Belgium, and then you would work with Laura's organization to help sort of facilitate and find ways of either exporting some of the robots you're developing, or even setting up additional facilities, say.
Yeah, so one great way that Laura's organization has helped us, for example, was, Automate 2024. She reached out to me and said, well, can we get your robot here and demonstrate it at Automate? Well, I just couldn't get that through because of the practicalities and all the logistics of bringing a robot over with batteries and on a flight. It was just incredible. But they tried, and they were ready to give us a booth at Automate with some space so that we can demonstrate that. And that was a great opportunity. We've also had some other opportunities in the UK where we've actually visited a trade show where a large part of the funds were actually paid for. And so we were actually able to go there and demonstrate our robots. And actually, we actually came back with a lot of nice contacts from that event, and it's all thanks to Flanders Investment and Trade. So
yeah, and just maybe, I don't know how familiar your audience is with Belgium and Flanders, but we're a small country, a small region. Flanders is about the size of Connecticut, but it's a very densely populated area of over 6 million people. But we're a small region. We are all about innovation, and we are very export driven. So our companies, small companies from the get-go, they have to go outside of Belgium and explore the European market and come to the US, because there is a lot of opportunity for those companies. So that's how we try to support companies like Tractonomy, for example, with local resources, and if they can join us at a conference or a trade show. We provide subsidies for those companies that are exporting and learning about new markets, basically.
It's awesome that you kind of have like the sort of like national level support to be able to help in what's probably been a high uncertainty and probably disorienting stage of early stage of the company to get going.
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, I've never actually seen this. I've actually studied in the US, and I come from different countries. I was born in India, but in Europe, speaking in general, in Europe, there's a substantial amount of support for small and medium enterprises, including startups. But I think Belgium, in particular Flanders, pays a lot of emphasis on startups, because the region is small. But on the other hand, we get a lot of support from the region. We've had technical or R&D subsidies that are paid for development of our products. So, like the product that we've developed now that we've actually launched into the market in Belgium was actually co-financed by not Laura's department, but a related department called the Flemish Authority for Innovation and Research.
Yeah, it's like a sister agency.
VLAIO. And they funded us. So they co-funded it. So our investors didn't actually have to put in. Let's say they could actually do a kind of a co-financing and actually build up the capital that we need to build up.
I think it's something that it's great to see how that works out, and I think it's something that maybe other nations or other sort of provinces would benefit to be able to sort of make sure there's a way to strategically and meaningfully help early stage companies and entrepreneurs, because of just how hard it is, and to save time, and hopefully it comes back into the economy in Flanders. If your company is able to grow where it is, that's so much better for everybody, right?
Yeah, it's a very, very strategic choice also by the government to invest that much in R&D because, you know, we have in Flanders, I mean, we are here in Boston, you have great universities here, but Flanders has a great educational system too, so we have a highly educated workforce. So we are really stimulating R&D activities, and also, so not only for example, a company like Tractonomy that was born in Belgium, but also to attract companies from elsewhere. We are a very open economy, but that's one of the key focuses for us, is to attract those innovative companies that are looking for talent and a supportive system, a government that is actually, not a lot of people know this, but Flanders is one of the top 5 spenders for R&D in the world. So we spend, I think, 3.6% of our GDP on R&D, which is well above the European average and the European ambition, which is 3%. Yeah, it's totally in line with our vision also.
What brings in you specifically to Robotics Invest this year?
Yeah, for me, it's the opportunity to connect with the local ecosystem here in the US. On the one hand, to support also entrepreneurs in Flanders, to tell them about the opportunities that exist, and then connect them to those networks that exist. Here, for example, with Mass Robotics, or in Pittsburgh, or other networks of investors. And also, I mean, there's a lot of founders here of fast-growing companies that at some point will be going to Europe, and if you start on early that conversation, you know, they get to know your region, opportunities, and it's and whenever they are ready to make that step, maybe they'll we can convince them to come to Flanders.
Like great situational awareness too, I think, of what's coming and what you're working on. And how about you with your company?
So yeah, so like I said, we've now started a big. I mean, we've had a lot of positive traction in Europe, in Belgium, but we need to kind of get out. I mean, not in a negative sense, but we need to look at bigger markets, because Belgium is still a small market, but we think that the US is really a fantastic market right now. And like right now, the time is, I mean, the moment's really perfect, because the US economy is growing rapidly. That seems to, I mean, anyway, in general, I think the Boston ecosystem for robotics is so fascinating. When I got this ticket, I said, no, I need to experience this myself firsthand, because I'm a passionate roboticist. I've been like in the space for a long time, and I know all the names of all these people here. They're all on my LinkedIn, and I've never met them in person.
Yeah, you're a bit starstruck.
Yeah, I am. I mean, they're like some founders of some pretty big name companies here, and yeah, it was just like an opportunity I couldn't miss, you know. So just meet some founders and meet some investors, possibly, if they're interested in our project. See if we can come over here, and having US investors would definitely be very interesting for us. Because yeah, we need to understand the ecosystem here. It'll always be nice to have someone who can kind of guide us.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the logistics robotics that you're working on?
Yeah, sure. So what we do is we build autonomous robots that are a new class of tuggers. So tuggers are robots that pull cars. Okay. We build a special class of tuggers that do things that current tuggers can't do. And so, you know, if you go to
are these like multi-ton, like heavy tug?
No. So if you go to a typical factory or a warehouse, you have all sorts of carts that are used inside the warehouse, from a warehouse trolley to a trolley that moves sheet metal or whatever. You have a broad variety of trolleys. The challenge is today, most of the robots need to be hooked up to the cart manually, which, in my opinion, doesn't offer a big return on investment for the customer. So we've been working on a kind of a generic design that allows the robot to adapt to the cart rather than have all these manual interventions, kind of reduce the change management for the customer. So we've developed this new platform. We call it the autonomous towing robot, because that's what it is. It's actually much more than an autonomous towing robot. It can look for carts, grab carts up to 2,200 pounds. And then it can pull these carts from one location to another, do special maneuvers like parking a cart into a position and things like that.
Okay, are there something that's been exciting or that you found relevant to where you're specifically thinking, either as building the nuts and bolts of building a company or on the technical level with Robotics Invest so far?
Well, the question is really interesting. I mean, if you go back, this project for me has been a personal challenge. I took it on alone. In Belgium, when I started, I was like literally alone, and I got started. I started prototyping a robot, and then a team came along. I had like a co-founder, and then we have 2 employees working for us, and we're a very small team, but we've actually managed to build something I think that's quite impressive. I mean, I don't want to brag, but I'm very proud of what we've built under the circumstances. Considering the amount of money we had and the resources and things like this. And so now I'm really interested. I mean, I'm really excited when I talk to people here. They're like, "Wow, this is a really cool product," And then when people say, "Oh, you're only 4 people? That's crazy," And that's for me. That's like, it kind of motivates me. It's like, and it's nice to hear that and get some feedback about what's possible and what's not possible and things like that.
We were talking with another gentleman that was about how like a great control systems engineer, the cost difference to have that person salaried on a company, that with switching geographies, that it can be orders of magnitude difference. And is that something that you think would maybe contribute to that where it just sort of naturally where we're setting up shop, you've been able to stretch that currency further to get as far as you have?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And how about you, Laura, in terms of things that have been exciting or surprising so far with Robotics Invest?
I'm amazed already by this first day. I mean, to be honest, I'm not a technical person or a robotics expert, so it's a lot of new information for me to absorb. But it's really cool to see this event in a really cool location, very vibrant. I love the art and the technology combination. Yeah, it's really cool, and and it's also like nice to see that there's really like a community feeling, which is something that we are also trying to build in Flanders. It's part of the reason that I'm here as well, because I got connected to some folks here in Massachusetts, and we are trying to, replicate or build something similar in Flanders, because I think the brand Flanders Robotics is not really well known, but like as you mentioned, for example, the company Mantis Robotics, which is a US-based company from Silicon Valley. The CEO is a Belgian, so he knew about all the great benefits and the talent that there is in Belgium, but he decided to set up an R&D office in Leuven, close to one of the oldest and most innovative universities in Europe. It's called the KU Leuven. And he was talking about how much cheaper and the good quality he gets of talent in Belgium compared to US in general, but really to have this community of investors and researchers and entrepreneurs, it's really cool to see.
So exciting.
Yeah.
I'd like to conclude by asking you, do you have an ask or an offer that you would like to sort of broadcast to the community?
I'm very happy to speak to investors who kind of believe in our story. I mean, if there are investors who see potential in what we're doing, I'm always happy to connect. But I'm also happy to connect with people in the ecosystem who see opportunities that maybe I don't see in the US. For example, they know maybe a factory or a warehouse who has a challenge and they're looking for a solution. I'm very happy to connect with them, learn maybe about their experiences. So I'm open to everything. I'm not here just to be speaking to investors. I've been talking to founders about their journey, and I met some really fascinating founders here, and they've gone through some strange journeys, and this try to align with that. So it's not just about investments. It's also about what I find fascinating here. I just want to add to what Laura said. Is it's all about robotics, but it's not just about investors, right? It's called Robotics Invest, but it seems like there's a really kind of vibrant community of people talking, and it's easy to have a conversation here. I wish we had this in Belgium. Okay, we don't have that many robotic startups. We do have a form of a system like this. We have the European Robotics Forum, which is a very big scientific / industry forum, where all the robotics of Europe meet, all the roboticists of Europe meet. But it's not about, it's different. This is about innovation, and this is about startups, and it's a very different kind of conversation. You see, it's a different kind of experience.
And for you, Laura, with your organization
well, my offer is to any U.S. company or foreign-based company that is looking to expand into Europe and wants to be really at the heart of Europe, then Flanders might be your home in Europe, and we are there to welcome you with open arms. We can introduce you to the ecosystem and our networks, provide information on incentives that are available, investors, partners, etc. So yeah, we're just offering our help to be supportive as a government and free of charge. So it's an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, what's the best way to get in touch with each of you? Do you have websites for each of your entities?
So Tractonomy.com, Tractonomy, so Tractonomy.
And yeah, FlandersInvestmentandTrades.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn and connect us there.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. For additional coverage of Robotics Invest 2024 and other key events, be sure to subscribe to The End Effector. That means a lot. Thanks, and see you next time.